Welcome, Wise Chat. It is Monday, September 30th, the last Monday of September. Producer Henry here saying thank you for joining us for your Case of the Mondays. I hear people weren't expecting a fifth Monday this month, so it's been extra bad out there. Mike will be with us in just a moment to check it out.
Oh, what's up, everyone? It's the fifth Monday of September 30th. I'm Michael Burns here with producer Henry, doing Wisecrack's Case of the Mondays. This is our stream. And just stop right here. Let's make eye contact, friends. You're watching a stream right now. We didn't write this. It's not carefully researched. This shouldn't be indicative of an overall collapse of quality on the channel. If you missed the videos that used to be written out, they exist. It's just a different thing. Okay? I hope that makes sense. It's sort of like you might have
a pretty cool one that came out Friday. Check it out.
Yeah. And maybe you go to a fancy restaurant sometime and you do their evening tasting menu. You're like, this is amazing. But then they also have like a brunch service on Saturday. It's more casual. They're just different things. So welcome to Monday brunch. We're starting earlier than normal. I'll tell you why. For those of you who are here early and often, we're starting early because later today, we're finally filming the first video for the second channel. And I'll tell you a little bit about what it's on. It's a video on Eat the Rich movies and the failure of many of the recent entries into the Eat the Rich genre. My kind of take on it, our take on it, is that I'll be really nerdy about it. Is that a lot of the movies that have come out recently that seem to be criticizing capitalism or the rich are non-dialectical. They provide these really self-congratulatory portraits of like rich, bad, poor, good, C movie, studio make money that don't seem to, I guess, that make the problems of capitalism a issue of individual morality and culture and not structural and economic issues. So we're going to talk about that in that video we're filming today. And we use the movie The Menu as kind of our primary text to navigate those questions. And The Menu is a movie that I was kind of out on, but our friend and colleague Michael Luxembourg convinced me/us a little bit more that there was something more going on there. So filming that video today. The channel is launching tomorrow, October 1st. So if you haven't already subscribed to the Wisecast channel, it's officially getting rebranded tomorrow as Wisecrack 2. Some of you, I think, caught the sneak preview test episode of Show Me the Meaning, episode 0. Well, episode 1 will be streaming tomorrow, coming out on various podcast platforms later in the week. Raymond Creamer, Austin Hayden Smith will be back hosting that. Producer Henry will be operating the 1s and 2s. Very, very excited about that. They're going to be talking about summer movies, but less so like, here's our favorite movie of the summer, and a little bit more like, here's what we saw this summer. Here's what it makes us think. Here's what it says to us about culture and the movie industry and all this sort of stuff. So there we go. Now our main topic today is going to be Chapell Roan. Hey, someone's niece got married. That's really fun. So there you go. Shouts to them. let's just say too, and saying stuff like this is kind of meaningless. Um, okay, Ian Duncan, hopefully you're doing okay. And I guess Ian Duncan, your situation relates to some stuff I was going to bring up. I gotta go look back and look at Chris's joke that we're too young to get. I think I missed it, Maverick. But I'm hesitant to even say this because it's like, what is us saying anything do? Um, but shouts, thoughts, prayers, feelings, good vibes to everyone in Western North Carolina. Sure, we've seen the news, but it's really, really, really horrible. The city of Asheville and Boone and the surrounding areas of North Carolina, basically surrounded by floodwaters. People have lost businesses, people have died, people have lost homes, all sorts of stuff. It's just a really terrible situation. So, couldn't not acknowledge. Someone said it's pronounced Chapel Roan, not Rowan. I think I said Roan. I tried to say Roan, but for any of our friends, I know if you're in that region, you probably are not on the internet right now. But if you catch us later, thinking of you. If anyone knows of any good, places to donate money or resources, let us know and we can share some links and talk about that. But couldn't not acknowledge that. Now, the reason when I talk about Chapel Roan, right, like that, is that she's been in the news for a bunch of reasons. One is that she's a super famous pop star, and let me just confess at the top of this, guys, not really. Oh, yep. All right, R.I.P. to Mutombo. That's another big one as well to the older among us who like basketball. But I'm not a big Chapel Roan fan in so much as I've only heard a couple of her songs. Not really my thing. And you know what? I think that's fine because I don't get the sense that she makes music for 40-year-old dads that like baseball and jam bands, which is fine. Not everything should be for me. Most things, sure. Everything, no. But she's been in the news for a few reasons recently. One, and this goes back a few weeks into the past, is some fans and people were being creepy, needy, grabby, touchy, weird around her, and she was like, "Hey, what the fuck? Stop." And some people were mad because they were like, "But I put a libidinal investment in your persona to sort of cope with my own psychic lack. You owe me things." And that led to a discourse on those things. Then after some other, celebrities endorsed a presidential candidate for the upcoming election, guys, that's a month away. But after that happened, Rowan said, "Yeah, I'm not going to endorse someone." Normal thing, guys. Normal thing to say, Dr. Clownick, is that's why I keep sending my audition tape to the Daily Wire, and they never get back to me. It's ridiculous. So people got mad she wouldn't endorse someone, and then she put out a video. Bailey, yes, thanks for getting that, Bailey. That was one of those things I dropped, and I was like, maybe someone will pick up on this. But she then dropped a video where she was like, "Hey, let me explain A, why I'm not going to endorse someone, B, why sure I'm going to vote for Kamala Harris, but C, why it's a much more complicated issue than that." Yeah, and sorry if you heard the Mutombo news because of us.
Yeah, I'm just hearing that because of this chat now. Wow.
Yeah. Daddy O'Dizzy said, "Have you done a video on the benefits of free market capitalism?" No. But you can find videos like that other people have made. You wouldn't want a video from me on that. I promise you that. You don't. So I want to talk about that, not because we're big Roan heads here. We respect her. I kind of, for another like old reference, for anyone who's seen the original Zoolander movie, there's a scene where Hansel's talking about Sting, and he's like, "Who am I inspired by? Sting. Haven't really heard his music, but he's been making it for a really long time, and I really respect that." That's how I feel about Roan. Big fan, never heard the music, but respect what she's doing culturally. Um, let's see. Oh, Sean, you didn't miss the open. We just went live a little bit early today. So we'll talk about that. There's some other stuff we might get to today as well. And just a reminder, this is the Case of the Monday stream. It's a little bit shorter, sometimes a little more casual. We'll be back Wednesday for Wisecrack Live, our main show. And then if you want to catch it out, If you want to catch it out tomorrow, we'll be doing Show Me the Meaning streaming live at 5 p.m. Pacific. We're just becoming our own little digital cable network over here, guys. Wow, some good stuff in the chat. Great to see everyone who is here. And then shout out to everyone who watched our video on Friday. That's good and weird. It's on World of Warcraft. And let's just say the quiet part loud. We were basically forced to make that video. What had happened is that the company that we're a part of, there's some other channels and content things. They're all kind of related to video game content. And it was basically said like, hey, it would be a huge help if you guys could make this video on something for Icy Veins, a thing that we work with, blah, 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 blah. We had to do it kind of quickly. Totally not in our normal wheelhouse, but I think we figured out a cool angle. So shouts to Michael Luxembourg and Amanda Shirker for making that video work. Lori Christian, you're not wrong. I guess if I had to say something positive about free market capitalism, it would just be that, like, I mean, I guess the real Marxist take there would be that it was a necessary development out of like agrarianism and feudalism that moved human technology and economic culture forward, while also again leading to new forms of contradictions between means of production and human life and flourishing. So there you go. Okay. Now you get treats. So should we start with just the original tweet thing, Henry, and do it the ghetto way?
Sure, let me pull that up.
Okay. And this is what I saw. Someone was posted by Hurt Copain. It's just a screenshot of her TikTok. Where Chapell talked about her situation. This is a longer one, so I guess we'll probably have to do the pause thing a couple times.
Sure, it is on screen. I am ready when you are, if we want to just count in.
Great. So again, if you're here, Wisecrack Case of the Mondays, we're starting with this conversation with the Chapell Roan thing. I think even if you have no idea who this is and you don't care about pop music, this will still be a relatively interesting discussion because it gets into how we treat celebrities in politics and like the weird cultishness of liberal culture. And for anyone who's like, oh, this channel's so lib-coded, we're going to criticize liberals, baby, so tuck in. See, Daily Wire, I'm going to put this on my reel for the Daily Wire, me criticizing liberals. Okay, let's start this up and we'll go on 1, 3, 2, 1.
Voting and voting are completely different. I don't agree with a lot of what is going on with, like, policies. Like, obviously, fuck the policies of the right, but also fuck some of the policies on the left.
Let's go, dog.
That's why I can't endorse. That's why I can't, like, put my entire name and my entire project behind one. Because there is no way I can stand behind some of the left's completely transphobic and completely genocidal views. So yeah, there are huge problems on both. You know what is right and wrong, and so do I. Fuck Trump for fucking real, but fuck some of the shit that has gone down in the Democratic Party that has failed people like me and you.
Okay. So hey, there's a minute in. Now, when I first saw this, I was surprised that people were mad. And in particular, a lot of like online influencery dudes especially were mad. And a lot of the reaction videos and things I saw were like very liberal gay men were very mad at her for this take. There's one response video that went viral from some anesthesiologist. Is that how you say it? And you know, the implication being like she's tacitly supporting Trump. She's really a Republican. She doesn't care about trans and queer rights, things of that nature. But what I almost see here is someone grappling with the inherent contradictions of a two-party political system that once every 4 years attempts to force every voting age American into a moral commitment to one side or the other on the basis of like saving the republic or something like that. And I think I understand, like, why do we expect artists to be political? You know, like there are artists who are political, and like shouts to like Woody Guthrie was political. He wrote songs about the working class and things like that. So of course we might expect Woody Guthrie to have political takes.
R.I.P. Chris Christopherson.
Oh, great transition there. Great transition. R.I.P. to Chris Christopherson, one of the realest ever. Outlaw country singer, songwriter, military man, actor, activist, someone who, you know, it's something important to remember here too. We associate so much of, this is a digression, guys, just so you know, this is formally a digression. A lot of modern country music we associate with Trump, the far right, all these sorts of things. Most of the best country artists and a lot of the outlaw country folks, you know, we're very progressive. We're very pro working class. We're very aware of the way in which empire and the mechanisms of capitalism were directly and negatively affecting working people and rural communities. You know, people like Christopherson, people like Willie Nelson. You know, these folks know what's up. But so shouts to him. And again, like I think that there are artists who make political art, and it's fine to expect them to do that. But like no one, it's not like anyone was like, Ace of Base, who are you voting for? You know what I mean? Like there's certain artists who like, you know, I don't think anyone like cares. Like I don't care who Tyler the Creator is voting for, and nor do I expect Tyler the Creator to put out a video on the election. So I think Chapell Roan is making a really fair point about like why should I have to put my artistic project behind a certain candidate? And I think as well, like she's pointing out the contradictions of a system in which we're meant to pledge fealty to candidates or parties or policies. Sorry, I'm wearing these underwear I don't like, and they're kind of just like riding up. I'm just gonna be honest with you guys. That's what's happening. You know, I operate by the honesty policy. But yeah, and then, you know, when she says like transphobic and genocidal views, like here's the thing. There's a lot of people who look at like dead kids being killed by U.S. weapons, and they're like, no, don't love it, don't love how that feels, don't want to uncritically get behind that. That doesn't seem that bad. Doesn't seem that bad. But some people, again, very, very mad at this. Just checking. Oh, yeah. And if you're here, like the stream, we appreciate you being here. Sean needs Flava Flav's political take. And, you know, I think, too, like when people talk about the politics of Hollywood, and like I saw someone mention like the echo chamber. I mean, if anything, isn't it good? Isn't it? Someone's called me Roots. Thanks, Patrick. I like when people pay attention to the show, and follow up with those. I don't know. I like this more. I would rather have that. Yeah. So Henry makes this point in the chat, and I do think this is a thing that like, if we want to be pretentious, we can be like, Chapell, when you're saying the left, you're really talking about liberals. That's fine. But I do think like, I don't think everyone in the world, especially if you're crafting a global pop career, you probably don't have time to read David Harvey on the tour bus, and I don't begrudge you of that. True, I mean that generally. That wasn't a facetious comment. And I think that for better or worse, and for those of you that don't live in the glorious Eta Estados Unidos American project, the mainstream, you know, the media just says left and right for everything. So like, whether we like it or not, Kamala Harris is the left in this country. Also, another digression from your boy Roots. Notice how they just buried Tim Walz, and like everyone liked him a lot, and every like people on the internet were excited about him. Working people were excited about him. Weird lefty shit posters were excited about him. You know, devastatingly handsome YouTube hosts were excited about him, and then they just fucking buried him. I'm gonna say, welcome to Conspiracy Corner, a new feature. Here's my conspiracy: that the Harris campaign was worried that he was so much more likable than Harris, so they buried him. That's my honest conspiracy theory. So yeah, so let's not. I don't want to overfocus on like the left thing here, but yeah, it just seems that Roan is pointing out the weird inconsistencies and contradictions and pressures of American liberalism to get everyone to fall in line. Let's watch a little bit more. And I would say, Henry, if we don't stop before, let's just stop at minute 2. We can go 60 seconds at a time. Oh, I should have clicked. Sorry, I should have counted it. Yeah, let me. Okay, cool. Let me get my thing at 102. Okay, 3, 2, 1.
And more so, Palestine.
Talking about Palestine. She said it. She said it.
And more so, every marginalized community in the world.
Shouts to redheads.
So no, I'm not gonna settle for what the options that are in front of me. And you're not gonna make me feel bad for that. So yeah, I'm voting for fucking Kamala. But I'm not settling for what has been offered, because that's questionable. It's questionable that our actions of our government, the actions of the internet, the actions of you and me. If this is what you are not understanding, you know what? Endorsing someone, if someone is publicly endorsing a political figure, that doesn't even mean that they're gonna fucking vote for them.
Let's stop at minute 2.
Because as I said in my other video, actions speak louder than words.
Yeah, I mean, again, oh god, yeah. So 2-minute mark there.
She clearly says fuck Trump, and also she's voting for Kamala. So I don't really get the people calling it enlightened centrism, which I'm seeing in chat as well.
Yeah, like what more do people want? You know, what more do people want? And I think she's making a take that I feel like a lot of us feel, which is Kamala.
The centrism thing just reeks to me of like too much bipolar thinking or binary thinking, and the way it's like, well, it's one end or the other, and if you're saying both are bad, you're just landing in the middle. Like,
yeah,
there's the undergirding capitalism and the undergirding neoliberalism of it all, and like I don't know, think of it more as like, a compass with more than 2 directions.
well put. Well fucking put, guys. Producer Henry, ladies and gentlemen, look at him go. Always puts it in the best ways. But yeah, I mean, again, like, why do we expect this? I mean, here's the thing too. We've in the last year, we've made videos both on the weirdness with which we expect political takes from celebrities. God forbid we listen to like political theorists or something. What the fuck do they know? We also made a video recently on voting and why voting's maybe, I don't know if overrated is the right word, but I think she makes the point here too. I guarantee you there's celebrities who endorse a candidate and vote for the other candidate. I guarantee you there's celebrities who vote for a candidate and forget to actually vote. It's fucking PR, guys. A lot of it is public relations. It's doing the right thing to make your fans happy or whatever it might be. Don't rock the boat, kids. Because again, as we saw, there's a quote that's been circulating the internet where Chris Christopherson talked about, openly supporting Palestine and losing out on acting opportunities in Hollywood. Because he wasn't supposed to do that. Wasn't supposed to support the Palestinian people, so they couldn't get jobs anymore. Celebrities are supposed to be political until they get too political. They're supposed to be liberal until they get too liberal. Until you criticize the war machine or the market or anything like that. And yeah, to me this just feels I feel since this video came out, she then canceled some upcoming shows. Like, it fucking sucks that this person has to deal getting railed online by folks for saying something that seems like fair. Like I get it if you, for example, if you're someone who's pretty liberal or left leaning and an artist like this had like the politics of Kid Rock or Ted Nugent or Hulk Hogan, I wouldn't be mad at you for being like, I can't listen to him. It's too much. Totally fair. But like, you're mad because she's voting for the person you want her to vote for, but not in the way that you want them to. It's weird, guys. Let's watch. And unless anything else happens, we'll stop at minute 3. We'll count down from 3, 2, 1.
And I'm not gonna let this narrative of like me not playing both sides. No. This is not me playing both sides. This is me questioning both sides because this is what we have in front of us. So if you look at my statement and you're still like, she's just playing both sides, like she doesn't want to, no, you're not getting it. I'm critiquing both sides because they're both so fucked up. Voting is all we have right now in the system. And so I encourage it yet again. Vote for who, in your mind, is the best option for what we have right now. Because it's all we can do. And I hope this makes it clear that no,
Stop it.
I'm not picking the sides of what we have right now.
So yeah, again, like I think, and this is what correct me if I'm wrong. What is Roan younger? Are we talking Gen Z here? Let me see if I can find age.
Yeah, I want to say somewhere between 24 to 27 years old. I can't remember off the top of my head.
26. You're right there. 26. Maybe after this I'll listen to one of her songs. Again, I'm not saying that I'm not listening to music because I think bad or I just don't. It's not for me. It wasn't in the studio like I want to make Pink Pony Club for guys that have a koozie collection in one of the drawers of their home. And when they moved houses recently, their wife was like, well, in that drawer we could put, and then they had to say, no, it's for my koozies because I'm an adult man. I don't think she said to herself, this is for the koozie men out there. This is for men who have koozies and used to use Rogaine regularly. That's who my music's for. I don't think she ever had those thoughts. Let's see. And I know they talked about it on SNL this weekend too, but I have not. But again, like I think, just by a comp, like people get excited about someone being like, Kamala is brat. And they're like, slay. But then someone says, I mean, here's quotes from the article that inspired this in Rolling Stone. She said, I'm pretty fuck the government and fuck everything that's going on right now. I mean, Killer Mike says that and no one gets mad. I don't have a side because I hate both sides. And I'm so embarrassed about everything going on right now. Who can relate? Again, like, I feel there's a lot of people who would say that and it'd be fine and no one would get mad at them. But that's what got her in trouble. And the way that people take that is like playing both sides is pretty absurd.
Also, playing both sides to like what imagined gain?
Yeah.
Like this is an established like pop artist. Like what political leverage is she playing for by expressing her opinion when fans probably have been pestering her for this opinion and then get mad when like she expresses it?
Yeah. Yeah, and I think too, like, so much of her work, again, from what I read, is about resistance, is about the aesthetic contributions of poor and queer and trans and marginalized people. Someone who clearly has a principled take in her music in terms of wanting to performatively shine a light on those things, like that's important stuff. And she brings up Palestine a couple times there, like pretty, I guess the term would be woke scoldy for liberal influencers to be like, shut the fuck up, do what I say. Who cares if like 40,000 civilians are just fucking dead in entire piece of land is devastated in America, supporting it. Do what I say because I'm an influential anesthesiologist. And too, if anything, go ahead, Henry.
That's part of it to me too, is like this person is a successful commercial artist, and I think to like make it in that respect, you have to have your own kind of sense of ideology and drive that's gonna separate you from someone who just kind of seeth posts online.
Yeah. I mean, I'll say this too. I haven't been fully game with the chat, but I don't know. Like, yeah, I think nothing wrong too. Like with her. I mean, I know. I feel like what she's saying is just the most like pragmatic thing, which is like, sure, I'm gonna vote for the less bad person because, frustratingly, that's the system that we're in. Who among us have not, felt like this? But saying like, I'll vote for the less evil person because this is the system that we're in. But I'm not going to sit here and like S the D of the party. Logan Reese in the chat points out, silly to have this much conversation about election that comes down to like 50K people in swing states. Yeah, I mean, again, like this is the sort of the ideology of the election in America. Again, like what's the ideological structure at play here, right? America votes. Your choice. We're all involved. Hit the polls. We live in a democracy. We have to save the democracy because every vote counts. Every vote matters. Yada 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 yada. What's the material reality of it? Because of the intentional machinations of our system, the election is going to come down to like some counties in Pennsylvania. Shouts Pennsylvania, great state. I don't love Rolling Rock, but I appreciate the state in general. Love the bottle, don't love the taste. But that's the reality, right? Like if you live in New York or you live in Illinois or you live in Washington or you live in California or you live in Minnesota, guys, your vote doesn't really matter. You could say that's not true because sure, if everyone didn't vote, but like, it is what it is in so many of these states. And especially if you're in like a bigger blue state, no one cares. And if you're in a tiny state, no one cares. You only matter if you live in a well-populated purple state. So if you live in Michigan, Pennsylvania, Ohio, maybe Georgia. They're saying Florida, but I don't think Florida. That's going to make a difference. Now, Logan Reese points out locally, you can make a difference because in a local election, your particular votes are going to directly go to that candidate. There's no like, unless I'm wrong or whatever, there's no like electoral college at city council in most places. Thomas Valdez says, I'm a pro-peace Michigan Democrat. Zero interest in voting for Harris. Can't support pro-apartheid, pro-segregation candidate. She hasn't earned my vote. Yeah, like earning the vote is cool. Sean Harriman brings up election reform. Yingling's great, but Yingling I wish it was a little lighter. Yeah, Logan says this as, I'm going to speak on his life as a local political figure himself. Yeah, your vote matters on the local level for sure. So, Ohio's a red state that voted for Obama. Okay, Maverick, fair enough. Let's watch the last little bit of this video. Starting at 3, 2, and 1.
Yes, one's obviously better than the other. But Jesus fucking Christ, I hope you don't settle for what we have and put your name behind someone that you don't fully trust because of their blatant actions.
Later, Chapel. I mean, listen, that's why we're not formally endorsing Marianne Williamson. Because it was going okay, but then she said racist stuff about Haitians that she wouldn't really apologize for. And then she is now promoting a weird book about Jesus. So, there you go. But yeah, I don't know. I think like the takeaway, at least in my mind from this, is like, it says something not great about our discourse, about the level of political discourse in America, the political discourse around celebrity in America, that this is even like a thing, that people are mad about this, that there's not room for someone to have a level of ambiguity going on here. Someone said, pick a side, Wisecrack. We're at war. There you go. Yeah, someone said a little confused and incoherent, but obviously reasonable take. Yeah, and I think the thing too is like, it's clear in that video, this is a young person who's just trying to make her fucking music, getting shit from a bunch of random strangers she doesn't fucking know, and getting so annoyed she has to pull up TikTok and be like, stop it. But then people didn't stop it. So then she had to be like, I'm not going to do the shows anymore. You guys wouldn't shut the fuck up. Reminder to like the stream if you're here. Reminder, wisecracklive666@gmail.com. That's our email. We're starting to get some sketchy emails, and it's making me so annoying. So like, maybe don't put our email address into weird stuff. Shout out to our stream sponsor. We're starting our official stream partner giveaway on Wednesday. I'm going to take a sip of something real quick. Vodka or coffee, you decide. But it was a sip of Yes Please Coffee. I saw someone mention it in the chat a little bit earlier. Our official stream partner is Yes Please Coffee. They are a Los Angeles-based coffee roaster. They have 4 employees. What they do is just make good coffee beans that they send to people. They don't sell to coffee shops or grocery stores or whatever. It truly is like an indie operation, which is why they also make zines that come with their coffee. I know at one point when I've mentioned this to you guys that I got to hang out with Tony, the guy that runs it. You know, his original goal at one point was to have like a record label thing with it, where they were going to have, you would get like coffee and vinyl, basically just, basically it's the dream coffee for koozie dads out there everywhere. But it's truly delicious. Some of the best coffee I've ever had in my life. You can get some of it. You get 20% off if you use the code Wisecrack. One of those things where it benefits you. You get really delicious coffee at a discount. Benefits us. We get a little bit of kickback. And on my end, this is part of the current strategy I'm trying to use, just to let you guys, behind the curtain, trying to form some partnerships with some smaller companies that make stuff that are cool and have good values, so that we can maybe grow those, so that we maybe sometimes do less stuff with like weird companies or places that we, just use to pay the bills. Because I would love to work with people and stuff that you guys might care about, might be into, or might just find useful. If you guys have ideas as well for another like sponsor or partner, hit us up at wisecracklive666, and if it works out, we'll hook you up with some stuff. I don't know the context. I saw someone said baby girl needs to read. I mean, I would say with all of this, like, I don't know, like a 26-year-old who spent all of their life working on music, if she wants to take a break and like, read some Angela Davis one day, that's up to her. But I think that we can't have that expectation that everyone is, lined up on theory corner in the way some others might be. I do want to pull up, there's a tweet we had, it's in the rundown, from Ethel Cain. Ethel Cain being another cool young singer who I've never listened to. I know about them. They seem edgy. They have a tattoo on their head, so that's cool. I think they're from Florida. But Ethel Cain defended Chapell Roan and said, y'all cannot be stupid enough to scream fuck Israel all year, rightfully so, and then go happily vote for Kamala. Like, she didn't just get up on that debate stage and say Israel has the right to blow the entire Levant to smithereens. People are just out here. And I guess in a tweet after that shows up for me on Pop Base, she elaborates on her defense, stating that criticisms of presidential candidates should be accepted whilst recognizing the more suitable option. The fact that even slight criticism of Kamala, the public servant, we're expected to elect as the president of our country as a progressive option, seen as immediate unwavering support of Trump. Y'all cannot actually be this stupid. I don't want to believe it. I like this discourse. I'll tell you why. Doesn't mean I agree with everything all these people are saying. I like the idea that artists like Chapell Roan and Ethel Cain are treating their fans like they are not idiots. That they are treating their fans like human beings who can make decisions. If you're just tuning in, we started early today because we have some stuff going on over here at Wisecrack HQ. So I hope no one feels like they missed it. If you're here, you're on time. If you are here, you are on time. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think we're gonna formally endorse anyone. What do you think? Should we formally endorse anyone on this show, Henry? Should today be the day?
I don't have any feelings towards endorsement. I think there's a lot of valid and visible criticism as to like why you shouldn't be enthused to just kind of toe the line or fall in line with our current political system.
Yeah. I'm gonna send you something, Henry, that maybe we'll pull up and read in a second. I'm gonna pull a wild card. 1 second.
Also, like, I don't know, this is the fourth or fifth time I feel like I've seen this in my lifetime. I think Sinead O'Connor was the first way back in the 90s. And, like, I don't know, my dad was a pretty big music head. So, like, even before that, I'm aware, like, Roger Waters and, again, Christopherson and others have always been getting shit for this kind of thing.
Yeah. And again, that idea that, like, the idea that you can say something like, again, I'll be sorry, I just saw a really funny thing that I saw. I'm going to tell you the funny thing that I saw, guys. I saw someone do a tweet where the Alamo Drafthouse movie theater, they do these baby showings or on Tuesdays at like the first screening, they show a movie with the volume lower and the lights up a bit so you can bring a kid. I think I'm doing this with my daughter on my birthday, sorry. This year, my wife said that could be my present. I can take my daughter to a movie. And I just saw someone tweet this. They have a baby showing for The Substance. That's
Start
fun.
them young.
That's fun. I just want to take her something dumb when I take her to a movie. But, you know, I want to, because I think it's a Frederick Jameson thing by a writer I like a lot, which maybe I think even relates to some of what we're talking about in a broader sense. But, you know, I don't have politics. I've never voted. Every election I ask all 14 of my dads to drive me to a polling place, and they never do. God, they suck so bad. 14 dads, and they're all terrible. But I think that a few principles here. You're allowed to vote for someone and still say that they kind of suck. And you're allowed to vote for someone and still be largely critical of their policies. Why? Because you're the captain now, right? You're voting for them. If you're voting for a singer on American Idol, no one says like, oh, just shut up and take it, even if they sung a really pitchy rendition of Bad Romance sitting in front of a piano. Shut up and vote. If you're voting on American Idol, someone would say you're allowed to have high expectations. And if a singer you like gets a little pitchy, you know, if they don't really leave it all out there on the stage for Lionel Richie, you cannot vote for them, or you can withhold a vote for 1 week of American Idol. No one's going to get mad at you and say that you owe something to those singers. Is this a one-for-one analogy? No. So don't critique it like I'm being serious, guys. Do better. I didn't see anyone do that. No one's going to do that. You're all great, except for 3 of you. But, like, you're the captain. So when you vote with expectation. And when you vote, the sense shouldn't be that, like, you vote and you're done and they're done. The sense should be that it's their responsibility to serve the will of the people. Now, we're not going to do that either way, but ideally that should be our sense. So you should be able to do that. You should be able to vote for someone, have some pretty serious problems with them, make a pragmatic choice, but know that, like, I don't know. Watch our video on voting if you want to know more about this, guys. We put out a video on voting like a month ago. It's, you know, youtube.com/wisecrack. You're already here. But you go watch that if you want. Again, thanks for being here. Again, like the stream. If you haven't, Mellow, Jello, how you doing? And if you're just showing up, we started a little early today, but we still got a ton to do because we want to hang out with you. It's true. When you're not here, I'm blue. My favorite basketball player with the last name Holiday is Drew. And when I was a kid, I loved Big League Chew. So Frederick Jameson died. A lot of great people died this week. Jameson, Christofferson, Dikembe Mutombo. I could see Christofferson and Frederick Jameson vibing in heaven for sure. Mutombo probably as well. You know. By the way, that is our only political take on the show, that heaven is for real. We militantly believe in heaven on this show. If you don't believe in heaven, please don't watch anything on this channel ever. Speaking of heaven, I promise you another God's Not Dead video before the end of the year. I promise you. Also, thanks again for all the... I'll get into this thing, guys. I'm just talking for a sec. Thanks for all the emails and suggestions for the holiday stream. I'm going to adjust these horrible boxers again. I'll be honest, the underwear I'm wearing right now... I'm going to go look at it. Underwear I'm wearing is from an old sponsor we had. You guys might remember this video. I had to read a sponsor thing for... And this is real. For us, they have boxers and you put your balls in them. There's like a pouch and you put the balls in the pouch. There's a ball pouch. It's like a reverse kangaroo thing, and then a hole for the wiener. And they sent me a bunch of the underwear, and I had to do an ad read that was like, "Hey guys, do you hate having balls? Do you wish that you had underwear that would hide your testicles from you and let you think that you were born with a flat Ken-like surface? Well, let me tell you about, what are they called? I can't even fucking see. Oh, sheath? I don't know, guys. I don't know why I put these on today.
Sheath?
Sheath, yeah. Oh, because the sheath is the penis pouch. This is a real thing. New Mateo said, I don't think people are mad that she criticized the Dems, that she tried to both sides each party when they're not even close in terms of values. So New Mateo, I guess the issue there is like, to say, I guess this is the problem, right? Does
It's
everything
like a
come
bad
back?
faith reading of what she's saying, I feel.
Yeah, I mean, so this is for New Mateo and for everyone. We have a video that we filmed last week. It's going to come out this week. I'm already worried that some of you are going to be mad about it. It's a video that we also made with our friend John Duncan. I'm worried you're going to be mad because it's a video that uses Kamala Harris's speech about the American people and criticizes the idea. And I'm worried we're going to get, some of you are going to be mad because you're going to be like, why criticize anything she's doing when Trump is so much worse? And I struggle to articulate this well, but I'm just like, so is it a thing that because Trump's worse, you just can't say anything bad about the other person? And I do think there's a world in which, like, when we say that both candidates are bad, but one's way worse, I mean, it's like, it's not nothing. Oh, you guys are going to get mad at me. Whatever, you know.
Go for it. Go for it. Get spicy. Keep going.
It's not nothing that Kamala Harris says she wants to make America's military the most lethal military in the world. And people stood up and cheered. Really, a big thing you think is important is that we can kill the best? I don't want to kill the best. That's not an important political principle for me. I'm not like, I want to vote for the party, for the country that's the best at killing. I don't want to do that.
Even if you believe in some like secularist like ethical war, the framing of it as like a sacred duty just rings a bit too fascist for me.
Yeah, it's okay, guys. I'm the dad you're allowed to get mad at. You know, hold on. Someone said, sorry. Can we start criticizing Kamala after she's elected? But then what, right? We just let people win? Because, like, does that work? Genuinely, guys, give me an example.
Yeah, I've been called.
Has it ever worked that we vote for someone and we're like, after they're elected, we'll then criticize? Who cares? They're already in. Guys, it's like marriage. Let me tell you how marriage works. You get married, and as soon as you're married, you can be a horrible husband. I stopped doing dishes. I don't hug. You know, we don't even hang out. But once you're married, there's nothing they can do. I sleep on the couch. I just goon in the garage all day while crying. And there's nothing. That's the joke. You get married and you love them even more. Shouts to marriage. But you don't have to be married, you know. Oh, I think there's a super chat I missed.
Yeah, there were a few.
Thanks, Danger. Dead Card 13 says, important thing to remember is we're flirting with authoritarianism because one party throws unquestioned loyalty behind their candidate. Yes, but I would just say there shouldn't be unquestioned loyalty on others. Here's what we can't do. We can't say, this is too spicy, guys. This is Monday. We're supposed to be mellow, but we can't say the right are a bunch of psychopaths that just unquestionably fall in line behind this authoritarian dictator and then be like, fall in line. Fall in line the other way, though. Right? We can't say the Republican Party is falling apart. They're afraid to even criticize Trump, guys. It's horrible. You hear about Mitt Romney. Mitt Romney is scared for his grandchildren because he's criticized Trump. So these cowards won't even criticize, but you better not. Better not, or you're grounded. You know? But there you go. Thank you so much, Full Circle. Again, like in talking about all this, I think I'm maybe responding a little more viscerally, responding with feelings to this sort of stuff, because I just don't know what the answer is. And some of you, again, you made the point of like, criticize them after. There's one party that we can push to the other side, but like, I'm old. Let me see, how many elections have I voted in? One. Wait, how many? So let's think. 2004, 2008, 2012.
Don't forget midterms.
Yeah, those two. 2016. I voted in 5 presidential elections. Guys, I'm gonna be honest. One of them I didn't vote in. It was 2008. One of the Obama ones I forgot to vote in because I lived in the UK, and it was like, guys, I untreated ADHD then. I was not getting treated. It's a lot of effort to vote when you live overseas, and I just didn't do it. And it was fine. Obama won. Wasn't on me. But I voted on all of those. I voted in all those elections. I voted for Ralph Nader, Obama. Forgot to vote. I voted for 2016. Did I vote for Hillary? Shit. All I'm going to say is I voted in a lot of elections because I'm 100 years old. Yeah, Chris, Bush Kerry was my first as well. I don't know. What happened? Like who did we vote in that we then pushed to the left? Like I do think Abdul says this in the chat. The only example we have, I'd say, is Biden. And the reason that Biden went a little left is because they absolutely railroaded Bernie to get him in there. And they gave some concessions to the working class. We talk about this in the video that's coming out this week. Like Biden has done a ton of anti-union things, and he's still the most pro-union president we've ever had, or in the modern era. He just is.
Yeah, true.
Biden loves capitalism, and in many ways, Joseph R. Biden is the most left-friendly candidate of my lifetime. That's not to say that he's at all left, but yeah, there are some concessions there. But I'd say in this election, here's the problem. In the case of Biden, we really did have a case where the leading candidate in the 2020 Democratic primary is Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders won California, the state with the most electoral college votes in the country, primaries. Won Nevada, was doing very well. And the Democratic Party, largely, Obama leading the charge here. This is well-documented shit. Colluded, worked together, rallied support around a decaying corpse of a man. And because of that, they had to give concessions to Sanders and his contingent to both get Sanders to fall in line and support, because they knew that if they couldn't have Bernie saying nice stuff about my good friend Joe, that they might not win the election. But, someone said Obama on gay marriage. Yeah, but it's just like, I don't know, guys. I'm not mad at you if you're like, shit is stressful, things are scary. Myself, my family, my community is being increasingly marginalized, and we have policies at hand in the Trump administration that scare the shit out of us. I don't have time to be critical of anyone else. That's fine. Here's all I want to say. I want us to, at some point, not have every election be, we have to do this so we can survive for the next 4 years. what I would like at one point, what I would like at one point would be a better world for like our kids, like a world where we don't have to worry about major cities collapsing because of rain, like a world where, deregulation doesn't lead to toxic plants blowing up and people in major cities having to boil their water to survive. I like to create a world that just feels better long term and isn't just like, let's put some more glue in the holes of the boat to not drown. Because I think you deserve better. I deserve better. I think producer Henry deserves better. I think kids deserve better, And someone said, but things are already horrible. Yeah, I don't know. I would just say, like, don't be mad at people who think you deserve nice things. Don't be mad at people who think that you deserve health care. Don't be mad at people who think like kids in Gaza deserve to, I don't know, live. So let's check something out, guys. Frederick Jameson died last week. I would say, and that thing people do where someone dies and then all of a sudden everyone is talking about that person. And you're like, wait, I've never heard you mention them. I'll give you an example. When David Bowie died, everyone on my fucking feed was like, oh my God, my favorite musician ever. Here's all songs. And I wanted to be like, dog, I've been friends with you for 20 years. I never heard you fucking mention David Bowie once. Not once. You didn't even point out his cameo in Zoolander. Second Zoolander reference of this stream in case you're keeping track. And it like annoys me when that happens. Because it's like, give people the flowers when they can still smell them. Like, this won't happen, but if Connor O'Malley died tomorrow, and everyone's like, oh, most important comedic voice, I wouldn't need to say anything because I have receipts. Restart the Irish mob. But I became that which I hate when Frederick Jameson died because Jameson's not someone I talk about a lot, not someone I've thought about a ton. And in his death, I've been aware of how much he rips and how much I think cultural criticism in America at this point in life needs Freddie James. Alley Cattails, I love it. Alley Cattails is getting ahead of it. I love Stevie. Okay, let's say right now, guys, anyone who you love who might die soon, let them know. Let's get it on the record right now. So when they die, we know that you're really about that life. Okay? We know that Allie is out here for Stevie Wonder. Let us know in the chat. Stevie Wonder, David Bowie's already dead. So I'm gonna give you a chance right now, and we're gonna do screenshots so that when that person dies, we can then say that you're a real one. So let's look a little bit at this. And Porkins, you're too nice. So this is from Benjamin Kunkel, one of my favorite writers. Just Google Benjamin Kunkel or Kunkel. I think Kunkel. Read everything he's written. If you want to read a novel, Indecision by Benjamin Kunkel is maybe one of my favorite novels ever. I think a lot of you in particular will love it. I'm going to tell you two novels right now, actually. This is digression day. If you trust me and you have a library card or, $20 or something to buy a couple used books, read Spurious by Lars Eier. Spurious, Spurious by Lars Eier, Larsiyer. And read Indecision, Indecision, by Benjamin Kunkel, Benjaminkunkel. And we'll talk about him later. So let's look at this sort of short piece he wrote on the New Left Review website talking about Jameson. He says, the great Marxist critic Frederick Jameson, who died on Sunday at 90, cast a cold eye on death. Death in our society derives its glamour and pathos from representing the extinction of an allegedly unique, not just solitary, but singular individual. Once upon a time, ideal, typically a genius or hero, and today more often a celebrity, and Jameson would have none of this. What I mean will take a moment to explain. I think there's something interesting here. I haven't read this whole thing. I skimmed it, so I don't know if this is what Kunkel's going to get at, but The idea that someone like Jameson wouldn't care about the death of one person because he understood that our ideological obsession with the individual keeps us from thinking about history from structures, systems, things of that nature. Think that's what's kind of going on here. Okay, people are shouting out some folks. So Ted Danson, that's a good one. Keanu Reeves, Ian McKellen, David Attenborough, some great people. Appreciate that. Yeah, Henry Bemis says Jameson's responsible for the quote usually attributed to Mark Fisher. Absolutely is. Abdul, thanks for hanging out. Sorry that you have to go back to work. We really hope that you survive your case of the Mondays. Here, I'll put the names of those books in the chat right now. Here's the first one. And these are both novels, by the way. So I don't want anyone to think these are like, but they're philosophically informed novels. Like if you like philosophy theory stuff, but you just want to read a novel, these are books for you. Okay, Kunkel goes on to say, generally speaking, this determinedly utopian thinker adhered to the ban on graven images of utopia enunciated by Adorno, and refrained in his analysis of various classical and sci-fi utopians from speculation of his own about the lineaments of an ideal society. So something Jameson did write about is science fiction. And why did he write about science fiction? Because science fiction depicts utopia. It depicts post-capitalist society. It depicts some imagined technological future. And what Jameson was interested in doing is kind of not saying like, how possible is this thing? Or he wasn't interested in doing some Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, like, oh, I don't understand sci-fi, so let me try to do a bad sci-fi. He was interested in saying, like, what does it mean about us that this is what we imagine? You know, what does our imagination tell us about who we are, what we are, how we think? And he says, but his reticence was not absolute. A handful of places within his massive body of writing, he presents the deprecation of personal mortality as a feature of utopia. Striking instance lies in his essay, The Seeds of Time, on Andrei Platonov and the Soviet novelist utopian picaresque Chevinger. I don't say names right. But he says, the thought of utopia, this is a quote from Jameson, obliges us to confront the most terrifying dimension of our humanity, at least for the individualism of modern bourgeois people. And that is our species being, our insertion in the great chain of the generations, which we know as death. Utopia is inseparable from death, and that its serenity gazes calmly and implacably away from the accidents of individual existence and the inevitability of its giving way. In this sense, it might even be said that utopia solves the problem of death by inventing a new way of looking at individual death as a matter of limited concern beyond all stoicism. I mean, this reminds me as well of the work of Alain Badiou, who in his book, The Logics of Worlds, talks about being immortal. And he's not talking about being a vampire or anything like that, or a Highlander. When Alain Badiou, French philosopher, talks about being immortal, he basically says, like, immortality comes when we participate in things that are bigger than ourselves, whether that be artistic movements, scientific innovation, politics, or even love. You know, that's, in a sense, like, that's the utopian impulse. That when we live for something more than ourselves or participate in something more than ourselves, we access this type of immortality or utopianism. But when our entire life is about the individual perpetuation of our existence as market consumer, we are haunted by that death anxiety, because the only thing that matters, right, is our ability to create and consume. Kunkel goes on, and here I'll put the link to this in the chat so you guys can finish this later. You know, I do kind of like the thing where we start an article and you have to finish it yourself. Hot Mix says, you don't get to call me Mike. My name is Michael, dog. Says, I give flowers to David Bowie, Ralph Nader electing Bush in 2000. That's definitely not what happened. My Bernie bro status circa 2015 and voting sporadically for third-party weirdos. That's fair. But Ralph Nader didn't elect George Bush. Also, I voted in California, guys, so it didn't matter. Back to the Electoral College. Jameson things in chat. Lick the stream if you care about Frederick Jameson. So he says, so after that long quote, so it was that a sort of anticipatory collectivism sponsored Jameson's belittling of the fact of individual death, along with the bourgeois and the individualist, at its summit of an idea, no doubt Heideggerian, tremendously that tends to accompany that fact. And I think that's, it's interesting to think about like how death and the way we think about death can remind us of our obsession with the individual, the importance of individualism, and sometimes a lack of appreciation for the collective. And, when we think about death ritual, this is what my undergraduate thesis project was on 57 years ago when I went to college. Obviously we think about death differently now because we live longer and people had to think about death differently in a practical sense. People died more, but also the way we used to think about death had a lot less individuality and a lot more of like a collective sense of things. But we're not here to talk about death. I want to start. There's a line that says dozens of other matters bulk more importantly in Jameson's famously capacious and omnivorous cultural criticism, the best short introduction, which is probably Leo Robinson's recent discussion of Jameson's work. And I just like this line right here. And here, I'm going to post this article as well in the chat if you want to read a longer thing about Jameson. Keith Hayes, what did Jameson say about inequality? I don't know the top of my head what he says about inequality, but I'm sure he would. I mean, he was a staunchly Marxist critic, so I think he would have some stuff to say. It says Robson calls his work our strongest available vindication of the claims for Marxism as the super method, the cultural master code. And it can be left for others to rehearse the late polymath's contributions to the criticism of fiction, film, architecture, French theory, and much else besides. Here, I want to... Sorry. Look at this last paragraph, starts on X. But again, if you haven't read Jameson, I would say the most simple way to frame what he does is he uses Marxism as a methodology to criticize all elements of popular culture, literature, theory, to look at the underlying material, economic and cultural meanings there. It's good stuff. Many of you, I think, would like it very, very, very much. Hey, if you're stealing time to be here, really appreciate you. Please like the stream. He ends by saying on X, formerly Twitter, we only call it Twitter, one of my most rigorously Marxist friends resorted, on learning of Jameson's death, to a distinctly un-Marxist concept of genius and describing Jameson as one of the few of these he'd known. Genius, it seems to me, functions in aesthetic theory, something like charisma in political theory, as a way of accounting for that which cannot be accounted for in an individual. For the same reason, the idea is embarrassing, mystifying individualistic bourgeois. The Sartrean approach, via Jean-Paul Sartre, to accounting for Jameson's exceptional range and unique style would be to locate in him the intersection of post-colonial and postmodern history. On the one hand, the personal biography, on the other, discovering the point of insertion, Sartre wrote, for man and his class, that is the particular family, as mediation between the universal class and the individual. But this was not Jameson's way. In other respects, a resolute Sartrean from the beginning, he never followed Sartre in the effort to renovate biographical and psychoanalytic literary criticism as a form of Marxist historiography. I'm just going to say, where is this? Yeah. Last line is, it's the very rare contemporary person, after all, who can regard his life and death from the point of future collectivity. And there's also, I'll post one more thing while we have it, an article here on the politics of utopia from Jameson. Main point I will say here is that, the interesting thing about Jameson, about death, about his thinking on utopia, is a way of framing death that's not just about us. And to try to square the circle here, think about the reaction to the Chapell Roan voting stuff, right? People are mad because of an individual's comment, because of an individual's lack of endorsement, because we can only frame, under a certain form of neoliberalism, we can only frame politics as a thing that an individual does once every 2 to 4 years. Seems like what Roan was getting at to an extent is like, shouldn't it be more than that? Shouldn't we be asking more? Shouldn't we be more critical of what's really happening? Shouldn't we be thinking about the collective effects of these policies? And, you know, and someone like Jameson, a very overt critic of you know, late capitalism, as he called it when he talked about postmodernism. Also, Jameson's book on postmodernism is another example that people like Jordan Peterson can't read because, you know, Jameson's already critiqued postmodernism way more than any of these herbs ever could. But, you know, when we stop thinking about the future as a collective project, we focus on the individual and their death. We focus on the individual genius disconnected from humanity as a project. And when we focus on the one person's voting or not voting, when we focus on the one celebrity endorsing or not endorsing, we lose sight of the fact that politics should be a collective project. It should be a collective project in which the will of the people affects, you know, institutional and economic decision making, so that the, you know, economic and structural conditions of society best serve a majority of the populace. We don't often think about that. We think about individual people voting for an individual person. And in the same way that getting obsessed with the genius of the individual obscures our ability to see their participation in something larger, our obsession with the bratness of a politician can obfuscate the way in which they're representing something much larger than themselves and something that's often a lot more complicated. So, you know, I hope we can think about that, and I hope that when and Courtney Lee, yes, I hope that with the Roan stuff, we can, you know, take that as an opportunity to think for ourselves about what gets lost in the sauce when politics becomes about who endorses who and who retweets who and all that sort of thing. Henry Bemis is saying I'm being a little bit generous there. I don't know. I guess I wouldn't say it's a hard one, right? Because I don't know if it made her seem more enlightened or elevated. It almost seemed like she was just saying, like, am I allowed to ask questions? Can we ask questions? We can't ask questions. Maybe that is more enlightened. A Defect is watching on delay and just points out that Ace of Base had roots in white power music. So that undermines my early comment about that. Guys, we're going to wrap up. I'm going to go film a video over here. Thank you for hanging out. Thanks again. You know, if you're here, you're on time. Thanks to our buds over at Yes Please. Check out some of the coffee. Use our code. If you have thoughts on this stuff, leave comments here. We always go back and read those. We talk about them on the show. And Michael Dudley makes a point. It made her sound like she doesn't get how anything works. I think here's the point, Michael Dudley, or at least one way we can think about it, is the point that she doesn't get how it works, or is the point that she doesn't get that this is really how it works? Let me frame that differently. Is the point that she doesn't get how the system works, or is the point that she precisely gets how the system works and can't understand that that's how we let the system operate? I'm asking that as a genuine question there. So, Magic Reason that should we not criticize individuals? No, we can criticize individuals, but we should criticize them in so much as they participate in systems. Because, for example, like sometimes if we criticize the individual, we miss the system that they come from. So let's say we criticize the one Wall Street exec who was bad. Well, did they do what they did because they were a uniquely bad person, or was the system bad? And this is actually, I'll wrap up on this. This is what the video we're about to film is about, our video on Eat the Rich Cinema. That when we just focus on the one bad guy, we can sometimes ignore the entire set of structural conditions that make that bad guy not unique. You know, that bad guy is just an affect, I guess to use like Spinozan language, of that system. Guys, Monday's tough. I'm glad that we're here together. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for having some fun debate here. I do appreciate like the back and forth. Michael Dudley, thanks for thinking about that. I genuinely appreciate that we're able to kind of constructively disagree with each other here. That's the goal, right? If you have further thoughts on this, leave comments when this goes live, or when it goes dead. You can email us at wisecracklive666@gmail.com. We'll be back on Wednesday. I'm sure there's lots to cover. Always, always, always let us know if there's stuff that you want to hear us talk about. We'd love to do that for you. Kyle, I'm both glad you're here, and I'm bummed you have whooping cough. Get better soon. And for everyone who's watching right now, do 2 things today for me, okay? Drink water. Maybe you're a really hydrated person. Maybe you're not. Just right now, get yourself a glass of water. Drink some water. Second thing I want you to do today, especially if you're over the age of 28, stretch. Take 5 minutes today. I want you to stretch. I want you to drink water. Okay? 2 things that are going to help you with your case of the Mondays. See you Wednesday at 10 a.m. Pacific on the goddamn dot. Later, guys.
See y'all Wednesday.